Hi everybody and welcome to the Truck King YouTube channel. This, of course, is the Toyota Tacoma, and last year more consumers bought this truck than any other midsizer, and I want to find out why. So in this video, we'll load up the bed with payload, we're going to haul a 5,000-pound trailer, and then we're going to look for an answer to that question. Why is the Tacoma the best-selling midsizer in North America? This is the Tacoma Trail Edition. It's based on the SR5, so it's a basic truck with a couple of amenities. And the big things on the outside you're gonna notice, you get a unique grille, you also get blacked out Tacoma badging down the side, and you get that blacked out set of TRD off-road wheels. So the Trail Edition is bringing along some styling elements. The other thing we have on our truck today, of course, is this big set of side steps right here, which frankly, to me, are a little bit big for a mid-size truck, but yeah, there they are. Around the back of the Tacoma, you do have a damped tailgate, and actually what's going on here in the bed is entirely unique. This is a composite plastic bed. It's entirely plastic, so you could take this entire thing out and drop a whole new plastic bed right in here. Toyota is the only brand that does this. I think the advantage is, you know, no rust. If you take chunks out of this bed, you're not exposing any metal. You're not going to go right through the metal, and like I said, you can replace it. Disadvantages, well, the biggest one in my head is how slippery the bed in this Tacoma is. Especially today, it was a little bit wet, and this thing is just entirely slick. And one other thing you might have noticed, the Trail Edition is supposed to come with these unique storage bins in the bed, but sadly you can't get them here in Canada, so our bed doesn't have them. So we've got our payload loaded up now, Dad, and we can only do one barrel today because the payload rating on this truck is only 990 pounds. So with 500 pounds back there and 500 pounds of Elmer up here,
we're over the payload rating.
Absolutely. And it's a little depressing. You know what? In a TRD Pro, I'd be okay with it. Even in a TRD Off-Road, if you feel like you're getting something to give up the payload, but this isn't that. This should be a work truck. So that payload rating under 1,000 pounds is a little bit depressing.
Yeah, it seems weird. And so here's the next part of the equation. 500 pounds back there, us up here, it's fine. It feels like nothing. Yeah. I feel like we could absolutely have more weight.
Totally.
But if we're paying attention to these numbers, then we can't.
Yeah, then you're overloaded. And actually, to your point, with 500 pounds back there, this truck rides way nicer. Unloaded, it's actually a little bit stiff. We've been finding that. But yeah, put a little bit of weight in and it feels totally, like I said, it feels better actually. So, and yeah, you could double that weight back there probably and we'd still be fine.
Yeah, however, kids, don't do this at home. We can't suggest that. We have to go with what the manufacturer says.
Yep, and in that light, it's a little bit sad, that number. So looking just inside the Tacoma here, Dad, I think it's a nice interior. It's aged well. It doesn't actually feel dated. This truck came out 1 year after the Chevy and the GM came out, GMC, and those trucks, for some reason inside, to me, feel a little old and plasticky. This Tacoma has held up really, really well design-wise.
Well, to your point, Steve, the thing with the Tacoma is its utility. There's so much about this truck. Every time you look at it, you go, practical utility. And that's the same for this interior. I mean, it's an old interior, but the way that it's laid out, it's simple and it just works. You don't get bored of this interior.
Yeah, no, fair enough, absolutely, and everything's here that you want. And one thing I'll give Toyota big kudos for is adding Safety Sense P as standard equipment. So even on the most affordable Tacoma, you're still going to get that forward collision warning, and the biggest one is you're going to get adaptive cruise control. Even on their most basic models, you get that adaptive cruise. So that's pretty cool that Toyota has built that into all of its vehicles. All right, folks, now I want to measure the squat here on the Tacoma. And again, because of this low payload rating, we can only do 1 barrel. If I put 2 in there, it'd be overloaded. So we're only doing 1 barrel today. And let's see. So we're talking about 34.5 inches. That's 34.5. Now we'll take the weight off and see how much it's squatted. Okay, well, it's up now. Let's see, we have not moved the truck. It's right in the same spot. We come up to the fender. Nice, love it when it's easy. That's 35.5 inches. That's 1 inch of squat for 500 pounds. And honestly, if you take a look at our squat board here, you'll see 1 inch of squat for 500 pounds is really standard. Of course, then you go 2 inches for 1,000 pounds, which is what most trucks do. And that's what this Tacoma did too. All right, backing into our trailer here, you can see the only camera view here on the Tacoma. You do get that middle line so you can see where your hitch is, but yeah, there's not even a zoom in view, which is always nice and a little disappointing that the Tacoma doesn't have it. And yes, that is Dad back there playing with the track loader, getting ready to unload some weight off the trailer. Well, now we're out here towing our 5,000 pound trailer with the Tacoma today. This Tacoma does have a tow haul mode, but Toyota calls it ECT power. I don't know why, Toyota just likes to be different. But besides that, there's no trailer brake controller in this truck, and you know, nothing else specific for towing. Now, the tow rating here on the truck is 6,400 pounds. So we're getting close to the limit, but we're not pushing her too hard. And from the passenger seat, it feels good. But you're driving, Dad, so what are you feeling?
It's doing a good job. The power is adequate. It's not over the top. It's one of the few trucks where I'll say that it's enough, but not too much.
Yeah, one of the things with this engine, and to be fair to Toyota, this is a common thing with a lot of these mid-size V6s, it makes peak torque and peak horsepower high in the rev range. Peak horsepower, I believe, is 5,500 or 6,000 RPM. It's right at redline. So, yeah, you know, you get those numbers, but they're not totally true when you consider that you really got to wring these engines out. So like Dad said, in the mid-range, yeah, the Tacoma here just feels like enough.
It feels decent, and one thing I want to bring up, because we towed a travel trailer with this just the other day, is the difference between towing 5,000 pounds on a flat deck that has a very low center of gravity and has no wind resistance and is not susceptible to crosswinds versus the 22-foot travel trailer that's high-sided, high center of gravity, and when you do get a crosswind, yeah, you really feel it.
Yeah, and I mean, the travel trailer weighed less than what we're towing now, but again, just from the passenger seat, you felt everything with that trailer on, like you said, because it's just being pulled around more by the wind and by the air. This flat deck feels really good.
Yeah, and we point that out because you really have to consider, most guys just go, well, how much weight can I tow?
What's the number?
But it's also, what are you towing? Because like I said, a flat deck versus a boat versus a couple of ATVs on an open trailer versus a travel trailer, they're all going to act differently. So you have to take the weight into consideration, but then also on how it's going to affect the truck.
Okay, 0 to 60 time here in the Tacoma. We have our 5,000 pound trailer hooked up. Ready for the race, hit it. Go Tacoma! Oh, there it is, 100. Yeah, that didn't feel too quick. That was a 17.7, 0 to 100. Now you can see how it stacks up on the leaderboard. All right, Dad, so now I just want to talk a little more about the question I asked off the top. This is the best-selling midsize truck by a factor of 2 to 1. The next closest last year was the Ranger, and this thing outsold it by double. So people love Tacomas. And I've always struggled with this, I have to be totally honest with you guys, because I kind of don't love Tacomas. The seating position, me personally, I never liked it. I think it's an uncomfortable truck. It doesn't have the most power in the segment. The engine is sort of just okay. The styling is, I mean, to me, just fine. Totally subjective, I know. There's just, again, in my head, not a ton of reasons to buy a Tacoma. And obviously, a ton of you people totally disagree with me. So, Dad, I don't know, what is it?
You know what? It's hard to put your finger on. I'll give you that. There is perception, and then there's reality. But nevertheless, when I look at a Tacoma, what I think to myself is, now there's a truck which is it's right-sized. I'm perfectly fine with this smaller envelope. Frankly, a lot of the trucks today, they've gotten too big for their own good. That's number one. Number two, this truck does a lot of things well. Doesn't do any one thing outstanding, but it pretty much does anything you want well. It gives you fuel economy. It has reasonable power. It's easy to park. It's decent to drive. It will go off-road. It will tow. It does give you a certain amount of bed space. It'll haul your bikes, but it'll also haul your motorized stuff. So, and then at the end of the day, it's got a reputation for reliability, rightly or wrongly, because there's a few things that we could talk about there. However, so you put all that together and you look at the price, and the resale value on these things is crazy. So when you buy one, it's kind of like you're renting it, really, because when you do get around to selling it again, it's amazing how much of your money that you're going to get back. So the question is, why wouldn't you buy the Tacoma?
Some good points in there. Again, all the other midsizers will do most of that stuff you just talked about. However, the things that stood out were the two R's, resale and reliability. I think those are the reasons why people really get drawn to Tacoma. And the reliability, like Dad said, you know, we could argue about it. You cannot argue with the resale value. That is an absolute fact. And not only is it the best resale of a truck, it's the best resale on the market, period. So yes, looking at it like in terms of an investment, it does make a lot of sense.
Last point, because this is not just a reputation garnered in North America. Don't forget, this vehicle is sold all over the world.
You're right.
Okay, so people from everywhere, they come here, there's stuff they don't know, but they know Toyota. So where are they going to go with? They're going to go with what they know.
Yeah, that's true. Well, folks, that is it for this video. So what's the verdict on the Tacoma here? Well, I laid out to you some of the reasons I don't like this truck, and I do believe there are better midsizers out there. But look, the sales speak for themselves, and I do think that resale and reliability are enough to keep this Toyota at the head of the midsize market. So like I said, that's it for this one. Of course, I want to hear from you, especially if you're a Tacoma owner. Come on here and tell me why the Tacoma is the best midsize truck and why I'm dead wrong. As always, while you're down below, don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit join to become a member of the channel, and then come right back here to Truck King to see what we're testing next. See ya.